NORAD is a Twilight Struggle event that has been somewhat controversial. There are some that say it is overpowered and others that say it is too expensive and awkward to implement. We'll delve into this controversy here today on Legendary Tactics. In Twilight Struggle, the NORAD event is perhaps the most interesting of the optional cards included in the game. It is thought to be overpowered by some, impractical by others. But once set up, it can be a very effective event for the US, and the USSR will need to know how to mitigate this one. Let's take a look at this event now. The NORAD event is a starred US 3-op early war event card. Triggering the event causes a persistent effect as indicated by the underlined event title. If the US controls Canada, the US may add 1 influence to any country already containing US influence at the conclusion of any action round in which the DEFCON marker moves to the 2 box. This event is cancelled by the Quagmire event card. For the USSR, this is not a great card for you. While it would be nice to just send it to space, it may be difficult to give up the 3 operations points, especially in the early war. But send it to the space race if you can, especially after the turn 3 reshuffle. If you can't do that and you need the operations points, you may be able to get away with it in the short term. It's unlikely that this event will be of much use to the Americans until the mid-war, as the US may not have the spare ops to control Canada until then. But by then, the antidote, the Quagmire event card, will be in the mix. If you can't protect against this event coming into play, there is something you can do once it arrives. Oddly, the Socialist Governments event is actually a great counter to NORAD, which makes perfect sense in game terms but is pretty nonsensical otherwise. Use the Socialist Governments event to remove US control of Canada and, at least temporarily, nullify the event. This tends to work perfectly if you play Socialist Governments for the headline, prevent the NORAD event by removing American control of Canada, and then follow up with your usual first action round battleground country coup, which typically lowers DEFCON to 2, with no negative consequence to you. But if that event card is nowhere to be seen, and NORAD is in effect, you will need to prepare for it by spending some operations points to over-control countries where the US has some influence. What makes the NORAD event especially troublesome for you is the fact that the US usually gets to place the influence from the event and then take their play immediately afterwards, which can lead to situations where the Americans can flip control of countries on you. To avoid this back-to-back play, it is better for you if the US lowers DEFCON to 2, as you will get to play right afterwards. So, if NORAD is in effect, you will have to make an effort to manage the DEFCON level. In other words, you might have to forego battleground country coups at DEFCON 3, and particularly in the first action round. If you get Quagmire in hand and NORAD is in effect, you'll likely need to play it as soon as you can. This is true even though it is usually much better to hold on to Quagmire until you draw Red Scare/Purge for maximum benefit. But you'll need to cancel the NORAD event as soon as you have the opportunity. It just gives the US too many opportunities to cause havoc. For the US player, this is a fun event. The drip-drip nature of NORAD can slowly help in swinging things your way, breaking control of a key battleground at an inconvenient moment for the Soviet, or allowing you to reinforce your position somewhere useful. The only downside is that the event requires you to control Canada, which otherwise is a substantial, long-term, and somewhat speculative investment at a time in the game when operations points are precious and necessary in your attempt to contain the USSR. Hopefully, you can use events like Marshall Plan and Special Relationship to give you the influence you need. This is usually the best way to gain control of Canada in the early war, so take advantage if given the opportunity. It is best if the NORAD event is triggered by your opponent, as it can be hard for the US to give up the 3 ops in the early war in order to activate the event. If you're the gambling type, you could take the ops on turn 1 or 2 and hope you get it back in hand after the reshuffle. If you succeed in picking it up for the first or second time in turn 3, you're best to take the event as you may not see the card again for quite a while. Take advantage if the Soviet gives you the back-to-back play of first placing the influence from this event, followed by your action round. perhaps there is an opportunity to use the influence to break Soviet control somewhere and then follow up with a high ops card or even the China card. Ideally, you can flip a battleground country in an area under DEFCON restrictions so that the Soviets cannot respond. Somewhere like Italy, Thailand, Pakistan, or even South Korea could all be perfect in this regard. And some cards will combo well with NORAD. For example, ABM Treaty, SALT negotiations, and How I Learned to Stop Worrying, among others, give you the opportunity to hit DEFCON 2 again in a turn, thereby activating NORAD each time. If you want to activate this event, could it be a workable headline? Yes, I guess so, as long as you have no better alternative and a good number of ops in hand. You'll have to use your discretion on this one, but it certainly seems preferable to activate it during the headline phase as opposed to during action rounds, which would effectively hand your opponent 2 consecutive plays in the early war, which seems disproportionately expensive to me. What makes the effectiveness of this event even harder to judge is the fact that one doesn't know if and when Quagmire will be played for the event. It could never happen, or it could be played as early as turn 4, which would certainly be disheartening. Certainly, a safer bet would be to trigger NORAD after Quagmire has already been played for the event. Please note that Quagmire cancels NORAD but does not prevent it, so if you can hold off until after the Quagmire has been dealt with, NORAD would be completely safe to play. The only downside is that there will be less time in the game to get the full benefits of the event. The absolute best case scenario for this event is if you can get it going early, and if you can send Quagmire to space after the reshuffle on turn 7. Theoretically, it's possible to gain 7 or 8 influence or so over the course of the game. If you are breaking Soviet control with this influence, the value of NORAD can be quite substantial. So in the end, NORAD ends up being an event of great potential value, but only if circumstances line up that make it workable. In summary, for the USSR, this card event is a pain. You will likely need to use the card for ops, and if and when NORAD goes into effect, it will be something you'll need to work around until you can cancel it. For the US, this is a great event as long as you can gain control of Canada inexpensively. Use the influence to break control of contested Soviet-controlled countries or reinforce your positions in key regions. This has been our analysis of the NORAD event in the game Twilight Struggle. We hope you got some great insights from this video, and if you did, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe down below. See you next time on Legendary Tactics.